Okay, who are you and where are you from?
I'm Rick Humphrey. I'm from Portland, Maine. I sell wholesale seafood to restaurants and to different seafood markets around here.
All right. And how has the climate changed since you were a kid?
I think the biggest thing for me we are noticing milder winters. When we look at what's happening today on November 7th, it's almost 70 degrees. We're seeing, I think, more frequency of that, and I just don't know. That's how I feel. I just don't know if I was aware when I was a kid, when we'd have Indian summers and whatnot. But I think we're seeing milder and milder winters. What I have noticed, as it also relates to what I do for work, is my first job ever, many years ago, like 40-something years ago, was on a lobster boat, and there was a lot of lobsters off the coast of Massachusetts, particularly the North Shore where I grew up. And there was starting to be less and less, and I think there's a lot less now.
Where did you fish out of?
I fished out of Beverly, Massachusetts, and I think that the stock there back then, that would have been probably the late 80s, was definitely starting to decline a little bit. I don't know what the stock is like right now, but I know that the stock is declining here in Portland, and I think it's declining severely down there. All the lobsters seem to be moving north, in search of the colder water. So that's one way to look at it. I think that there's a lot less boats going out down there, and there's a lot less, for them to get.
And what about your business? What kind of fish do you sell?
We sell all sorts of fish. We try to be super local. We're here, Portland is a nice food destination city. When people come here, they want to taste something from Maine. We don't really sell much, from out of the area when we can. There are some staples that we need to buy when they're not in season here, like tuna fish from around the world and swordfish from around the world. We have great local resources here, so when tuna's in season, it's really the best fish that we can get. So we do all sorts of large fish, tuna and swordfish and halibut, and then we do all sorts of smaller fish and all sorts of seafood products. Really, the only thing we don't do is lobster, even though that's the first thing that I mentioned. But we do all other seafood products supplied to all these restaurants and seafood markets here in town.
So you're not seeing any decline in those?
No, not really. No, if anything, we do a lot of local tuna, and the tuna each year we've seen more and more. This is local bluefin tuna, and that's just a wonderful resource. We're not seeing a decline we have a few local, super local resources here. One being the local Maine bluefin tuna, one being the local scallops. Scallop market has been great the last few years. They overfished it several years ago, and then they stopped. They stopped for a few years to let it sort of catch up, and it really has seemingly caught up pretty well. The last couple of years have been very good scallop years. So it's the tuna, the scallops, local Maine uni, which is a sea urchin roe. That was way overfished, and that's more of an overfishing thing than a climate thing. But that seems to be rebounding a little bit. There's more and more of that around. And then the other great local resource in general is groundfish. That would be cod and haddock and monkfish. And that seems to be pretty consistent. I haven't noticed a decline in that. If anything, it's more fishing related issues than climate change. And I think my guess is that the resources south of us have taken a harder hit, and we're just next in line. Everything, if the ocean's heating up and the Gulf of Maine is like the hot spot in the world for where the ocean is heating up the fastest, it's just a matter of time that we're going to notice those effects. And I say that because, like I said earlier on, I think north of Boston, where I first started fishing for lobster, they've really seen the decline. We've seen less of it here, but I think it's inevitable.
Well, that's my last question. What do you think we can do as individuals and or of governments, or what do you think? Is it too big for individuals or what?
I don't think it's too big for anybody. I think everybody needs to take it seriously and not disregard and just think it's a hoax. People need to understand it's a serious issue and do whatever they can to do their part to to help that, to influence others to take it seriously, and collectively as a society, just do whatever people can do to do their part to address it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, would you 10 being like you're very worried? How do you feel about the climate crisis?
I think long term, I'm very worried. Yes.
Wow.
Definitely.
Any final thoughts?
Not really. I think that's about it.
Well, Thank you very much. We're here in Portland, Maine on the 7th of November, and we're right here on the docks. What dock is this?
This is Maine Wharf.
Maine Wharf. Thank you.